Cassie Ventura took to the stand this week as the first person to speak out in court against Sean Combs. Her relationship with Diddy was traumatic, and she's been sharing every little detail with the world. We're starting to understand why Cassie disappeared and why Diddy is behind bars. This is Diddy's first week in court, so let's get into it. Now, before we get into everything that's gone down in court this past week, I do want to mention that Justin Bieber is breaking his silence on the Diddy trial. Granted, this is coming from allegedly one of his representatives, but they're saying that Justin, who we've assumed is a victim of Diddy's, is not in fact a victim of his. Justin Bieber's reps told TMZ, because TMZ was working on a documentary about Justin, that this theory detracts attention from the real alleged victims of Diddy. Quote, although Justin is not one of Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus from this reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve. Now, we've seen the clips before of these two in interviews talking about how Justin knows better than to speak about what Puff does on national television, or maybe whenever they were hanging out together for several hours, I think it was 48 hours, in Diddy's care.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
Now, I'm not going to discount that those are really awkward moments, but if Justin's claiming that he's not a victim right now, we need to focus on what's really going on in court. Now, Cassie took the stand this week. She is witness number 1, and she's supposed to have the most damning allegations against Diddy. I mean, she was with him for over a decade, so that would make sense. Let's start off by talking about the 2016 attack, the video that we've seen of these two in a hotel room that was leaked last year. The central evidence in this case has been that surveillance video of Diddy attacking Cassie back in March 2016. Cassie claims that she left the hotel and took an Uber home, while Diddy sent her a series of text messages saying, "Call me and I got 6 kids," and claiming that he was being arrested, which we all know Diddy wasn't arrested, so he was lying there. Cassie wrote in a message to him, "I have a black eye and a fat lip. You are sick for thinking it's okay to do what you've done. Please stay far away from me." Diddy wrote, "If you don't pick up my call, you'll never hear my voice again." Cassie's friend called the police and Cassie spoke with them, but she wasn't ready to name Diddy. Cassie said, "Just in that moment, I didn't want to hurt him that way. It was just too much going on." Cassie said that she suffered from wounds and other medical issues because of the freak-offs she participated in. The jury saw some of them in real-time photos and an eyebrow scar. The hotel attack came just before Cassie was attending a movie premiere for her film, The Perfect Match. Prosecutors showed the jury a photo of Cassie dressed in a gown wearing large black sunglasses, and she said she was hiding her black eye. They then showed a photo of Cassie and Diddy at the premiere in which some of her injuries were still visible. The jury also saw photos of Cassie's injuries sustained from an altercation in December 2011, which is wild. They still have photos from back then. That's like, what, 14 years ago? 13 years ago? 14 years ago. And the photos with her black eye mostly concealed with sunglasses in Jamaica in 2013 or 2014. Now, because of all the substances they took for their freak-offs, she claims that she suffered from gastrointestinal problems, mouth sores, and frequent UTI infections. She also claims she became heavily dependent on opioids. UTIs were so frequent that she would often have an infection during the freak-offs, which then caused the medication to stop working. Here's a clip of one of my favorite TikTokers, Becca Day, talking about Cassie's allegations.
So Cassie details how during this 10-year period when these freak-offs were regularly happening, she was regularly getting UTIs. I mean, obviously. And she was getting them so intensely and on medication for them so often that eventually antibiotics stopped working. Like, they stopped responding to the infection. Because of how often she was taking them, her body was becoming immune to the antibiotic. And she also talked about how she had tons of gastrointestinal issues and sores all inside of her mouth during this period, and she was still expected to perform in these weekly freak-offs, whether she had a UTI, an active infection, or not. Like, can you imagine the kind of pain that she was in 24/7?
Let me put this on you real quick, because if you have been seriously injured, your injury could be worth millions. That is why you need the right representation to take care of your case. And I'm talking about Morgan & Morgan. They are America's largest injury law firm, and they're not here for the small checks. Their team gets serious results. Over the past few months, they have won millions for their clients involved in life-altering car crashes, like $12 million for a client in Florida and another $26 million for someone in Philly. That is dozens of times higher than what insurance companies tried to pay. And this isn't some old school injury law firm buried in paperwork. You could literally start your claim online within minutes using your smartphone. It's free to sign up, and you don't have to pay anything unless they win your case. No catch, no retainer, no upfront. If you've been involved in a serious accident, don't try to just go and tough it out. You could be walking away from life-changing money. One click could change everything. You could check out my link in the description below, forthepeople.com/Sloan, or you can scan the QR code on the screen to go and start your claim today with Morgan & Morgan. Thank you to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this video, and enjoy. That is so scary to imagine being in that position to where you have to do these things to please your partner and your body is just falling apart, succumbing to all the things that you are putting it through. I mean, it's not like easy things, doing these really hard things that change your perception, your mind. I mean, I'm surprised that she's okay nowadays. Now, Cassie claims that when she was in these freak offs, she would prefer to take ketamine, which is, I believe, a horse tranquilizer, but people can take it and it looks like Coca-Cola, if you know what I'm saying, but it's not. It does like kind of like the opposite effect. It makes you tired. In 2016, Diddy told Cassie that he wanted to do a proper freak off where they didn't take K. A successful FO is one we remember, he says. Cassie testified that she preferred to take the K for the freak offs because it was more dissociative, which makes sense. It is one of those drugs you could completely forget what had happened. In 2023, all of this past trauma was really coming forward for Cassie. She was having horrible flashbacks and became upset. She tried to walk into traffic at one point, but her husband stopped her. Now the comments are supporting Cassie. This woman is so unbelievably strong. I am so proud of her great example she's setting for women. Another person asked, what does Diddy's mom have to say about Cassie's testimony? And that's a great question because his family is attending these court hearings and they're hearing what Cassie has to say. And it turns out that a lot of these freak offs were filmed and it looks like the videos were used as blackmail against Cassie, which I think is everyone's biggest nightmare. Having something intimate like that shared with the world, especially with the platform that Cassie has. And it's not like Diddy's in these videos because he's off to the side a lot of times and just filming it himself, I would assume. In one instance, they had an argument at the Cannes Film Festival, which definitely go and check out my video about that. I posted it yesterday. And on the flight home, he played the videos of the freak offs and she had thought that they had been deleted. Diddy told her that he was going to embarrass her and release them. A threat she claims that he made very frequently. When they landed in New York, they went to dinner and had a freak off at his request. Quote, whatever was going to make him not be angry and threatening me, I was willing to do. I just didn't want to feel scared anymore. Now, the jury were shown photos of the freak offs, which I cannot imagine what they viewed. One female juror let out a deep breath and rested her hand on her chest as the image was placed on the monitor before her. A male juror looked at the screen and one of the images appeared and he moved away quickly. It looks like he kind of like turned away from it. He didn't want to see it. Cassie's relationship with Diddy got a lot darker in 2018. Cassie claims in August 2018 she was going to dinner with Diddy for a closure conversation. She said she was now seeing her now husband, so Alex. She was seeing him, like dating him, but not married yet. Diddy was being playful and romantic at dinner, she recalled, and then he drove her home. After a long pause of sitting on the witness stand, which Cassie then shared that Diddy R-worded her, harmed her very severely in her living room. We can't say all these words on YouTube. I just remember crying and saying no, but it was really fast, she testified. She said she wasn't even sure if he noticed her crying. Cassie said she was intimate with Diddy voluntarily one other time after that instance. She also testified that she and Diddy had a few check-ins since they ended things in 2018. Like checking in, sending love, nothing crazy. As I mentioned, there was this moment in 2018 when she was harmed by Diddy, yet she was dating her now husband, Alex. Fine. While Alex Fine appeared to leave the courtroom during a testimony, the judge said that Alex could remain in the courtroom for most of Cassie's testimony. The exception was when the questioning turned specifically to Cassie's allegation that Diddy harmed her in 2018. At that point, Alex was required to leave the courtroom, which is interesting. The court put these restrictions. I mean, I think it's good because it kind of stops Cassie from wanting to admit yeah, this happened when I was dating my husband. It's probably an awkward situation for her to be in. I think it's I had never even heard of this, but it is interesting that he's out the room during this section of the testimony because he's somewhat involved because he was in her life at this point. This commenter writes, with the look on his face, I think Diddy saved her in prison. Another person commented, the anger he must feel. Now, it doesn't seem like everyone, I mean, not every single person, most people, but not everyone in Diddy's life is completely evil. Cassie claims that once in an altercation in 2015, Diddy in a Las Vegas hotel room while he hosted a party in the adjoining room. She claims he kicked trying to run away, and I made it to the bathroom. Then she tried to get underneath the toilet to hide from him. Diddy's security and management team finally came into the room to end it. Cassie said she had black eyes and golf ball sized knots on her forehead, and she said that one of Diddy's security guards started to cry when he saw her. So that altercation happened 10 years ago. Why didn't things stop then? We've got a security guard who's crying, witnessing what is happening here. I mean, I don't think we could put blame onto anyone or that security guard. I don't know what position they were in, but it's so sad to think that this could have stopped a long time ago. Cassie said after that incident, she had to stay at Diddy's home for a little less than a week to recover from the injuries, and that Diddy's sons were also staying at the house at that time. When Diddy saw her injuries during a FaceTime call, he told her to put more makeup on so his sons wouldn't see the injuries. Now, Cassie claims that during their relationship, she didn't always just take it. At the beginning of their relationship, when he would get physical with her, she would fight back. But she realized very quickly that it would typically escalate the fight more and make things worse. She said fighting back would make him more violent, make him stronger, and make him want to push me harder in that situation. She testified that there were times where she initiated physical fights with Diddy, but she never saw any injuries on him afterwards. After a party at a club in LA, Diddy called her a dumb S word or B word when they got into the car, and she drunkenly punched him in the face. She said Diddy then her and stomped on her face as she laid on the floor of the vehicle. Cassie testified she tried to run away, but Diddy's security caught up with her and brought her into the house. Imagine running for your life, and then you've got these security guards following you, ready to tackle you down and bring you back in. I don't know why his security isn't being charged. I mean, that sounds like kidnapping to me. She said, I just didn't look like myself at all. I had all these knots and bleeding and swollen and everything. I looked horrible. Diddy told her that she had to sneak out of the house and go with security to stay at a hotel. She snuck into a hotel covered up because no one could see her like that, and she stayed there for a week. Cassie testified that she didn't think it was safe for her to try to leave. She said, I understood Diddy's capabilities, his access to get guns, and threats he's made prior to that. Now, there's a lot of people online talking about this case. Of course, it's all over the internet, but a lot of people question, Cassie, why didn't you leave Diddy? Now, of course, the answer is so much more complicated than just that. I mean, we've talked about plenty of stories before on my channel, really horrible and dark stories before, so I understand what mentality you could have in these situations. You are truly trapped, and I think that Cassie 100% felt trapped. I mean, do you guys not hear? The security guards were chasing after her and then taking her to hotel rooms all covered up. She really had no choices over her body, her autonomy. She had to do what Diddy wanted when he wanted. Now, I do think that there's a lack of understanding in the general public about how these kind of dynamics work, because you would hope that most people are not in these kind of situations, especially as bad as Cassie's is, because, I mean, Diddy's, of course, super rich. He's way more powerful than the normal person would be. But I do think that they need to take the time and have an expert come in and explain to the jury what this relationship means, what it entails, the consequences of it, so they could really grasp why Cassie did not leave. It's not as simple as just that. This comment reads, the victim blaming is insane, but not at all surprising at the same time. Jesse commented, people ask, why did she stay? More often than, why did he do that? Which is a great question. I mean, what happened to Diddy to create this monster? And we're only hearing from victim number one right now.
Anybody else find it weird that there's like a whole bunch of people in the comment section defending Diddy? And they keep saying that, oh, Cassie's just as guilty. She chose to stay. She chose to stay. Did you see the video of her being at the hotel, I don't think she could leave.
Granted, like victim number 3 or witness number 3 is missing in action, but Cassie confirmed for the first time that she did settle a civil suit with Diddy for $20 million. Cassie had written a book about her experience with Diddy. She sent it to the rapper through a lawyer and told him that he could buy the rights to it for $30 million. She claims, "I want to be compensated for the time, the pain, and the many, many years of having to fix my life." It looks like this is going to be a big thing used against Cassie, though, because she did like get this settlement. She got this money. It looks like the lawyers are going to try to paint her out as someone who was just trying to gain fortune. Defense attorney for Diddy's noted that some of the accusers went to a civil lawyer for a money grab instead of going to actual law enforcement for a lawsuit or to press charges. So they're definitely going to try to use that against Cassie when Diddy's team has the ability to go and question her. So far, it's been a lot of the prosecutors asking the questions. We've got the defense going to ask next, but we're on day 4 at this point, and the defense is using text to characterize Cassie as a consenting adult. Now, they went through a bunch of Diddy's messages to find any points to make it seem like Cassie was down with everything that they were doing. They're not going to deny that Diddy was doing this stuff, but they're going to try to make it seem like Cassie was in agreement. In one conversation from March 2017, Cassie told Diddy to stop playing the victim. Quote, "That's all you wanted, and that's why I was upset," Cassie wrote. She wrote, "I love our freak-offs when we both want it." Cassie testified, "I would say that I loved freak-offs. These were just words at this point to try to please him." This comment reads, "She had to say that because she was afraid for her safety and was against her will." Here are some other messages from August 2009. Diddy asked her, "When do you want to FO, freak off?" Cassie said, "I'm always ready to FO." Diddy says, "I can't wait to watch you. I want you to get real hot." Cassie says, "Me too. I just want it to be uncontrollable." These comment reads, "They're going to try to tear her down with this cross-examination, but I have faith in her. Hold your head high, Cassie." Another comment reads, "She was groomed. Do you understand the psyche for a young girl that was manipulated for 10 years at the start of her maturity?" Which, keep in mind, she knew who Diddy was when she was 19. So she never really grew into an adult without Diddy being in the picture. Now, Friday during trial, they are trying to make Cassie look like the bad guy. Cassie was able to speak her piece and talk about how Diddy threatened her, took away her passport and other possessions and her phone, which is so scary to me. But at the same time, they're starting to play new pieces of evidence. There's an audio recording that they found of Cassie threatening a man. Now, this happened in March 2014. This man said that he had a video of Cassie doing things intimately. And in this moment, Cassie is heard threatening the man multiple times, saying, "I'm going to unalive you," and then he's going to unalive you again, talking about Diddy. And she was pretty threatening in this quote. I read it in full, and it looks like she's "I've never unalived anyone before, but I'm not scared to." And she's just trying to, I guess, keep this video from going public. I mean, it seems like she was battling that for so many years. Actually, Cassie said she sought inpatient treatment in 2023 because she was suffering from PTSD. She also had an opioid addiction left over from her relationship with Diddy. Now, we're talking about K again in today's hearing. I guess they have some messages where Diddy said, "I hate K, so let me know when. Please don't be mad. And I think that's all I want to do." He said he claims he doesn't feel right doing the K, he doesn't like it, and it's something that Cassie likes to do. Here's another text exchange that we learned about today. Cassie says, "I want to talk to you about something tomorrow. I'm going to sleep, love you." Diddy says, "Is it going to stress me out? What's it about?" She said, "Freak off. I can't wait. It's not a big deal." Diddy says, "Now you don't want to do it anymore?" "Oh, I already know. You're so predictable." Cassie, "Oh, really? Okay. Since that's definitely what it was, we'll leave it at that then. Since I'm so predictable, have a good night." Diddy says, "Whatever, baby. I'm not going to play no games with you, and you ain't going to keep shutting me down." Cassie says, "I'm not shutting you down. I never do. If anything, it's always the other way around. I wasn't going to say I didn't want to do it anymore." Okay, so there's a moment where it seems like, in 2010, at least she's okay with it. Granted, this is really early on in their relationship. Right now, outside the courthouse, it seems like it's getting pretty dangerous. We're seeing some moments from reporters saying that I guess there's Diddy supporters versus non-Diddy supporters out there. Cassie says she doesn't hate Diddy now. "I have love for the past." She testified that, "I don't hate him." And then it looks like she was asked, "Do you still have love for him?" And she says, "I have love for the past and what it was." Which, I mean, maybe she's gone further in her PTSD treatment so she can look back on it and not, think so poorly of it. So that is officially week 1 of trial. I knew they wanted to get Cassie out of the courtroom after this week because she's so pregnant. They're worried that she's going to like have to give birth and they're going to have a mistrial, which would be terrible because then she's going to give birth. She will have to have her baby and then come back to court again to do it all over again. So I am praying that is not the case and that they could figure it out and move on to the next witness, who I believe is Dawn Richardson. So we're gonna, or Richards, one of those. But we're gonna be staying on top of everything. Thank you guys for following me and keeping up with me. And I really hope that we see some justice here. I have to tell you, after this first week, I'm not 100% certain. Like, there's a world where I think he could walk away. I don't know why. It's just I see like mixed messages. Some people on Twitter saying the government's doing a really bad job. And you know what? The government, no shame to the government out there and all the government employees. I used to be working in the government, but it is kind of a mess sometimes. So the fact that he's got like the most expensive lawyers over here, and then we've got our government folks, I do worry that they may be unable to prove the charges that they are charging him with, opposed to what we're learning about, because we're learning a lot about their interpersonal relationship. And I don't know where the racketeering and things all fall into it. But I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for following me, and I'll see you in a new one soon. Bye, guys.